They say we are now live. We got the live going on 2 platforms right now. I'm just waiting to get some verification that this live is actually live, that its signal is transmitting. So now that we know that, all right, here we are. Welcome everybody. Hope everybody's having a good weekend thus far. It's only 12 in the afternoon, 12:30 in the afternoon East Coast time. So it might be morning time for some of y'all on the West Coast. Maybe it's evening or afternoon if you're outside of the USA. But shout out to everybody who is coming in right now. I got Facebook Live on the left, Instagram Live here on the right. I'm live right here, you live right here. So let's get into it. We're going to get started in like 30 seconds. So everybody, as you come in, shout yourself out in the comment section. I'll shout you out, then we're going to get into it. So what we're going to talk about here today, as y'all can see in the comment section, you already see what the topic is. This was voted on by whoever saw my IG story earlier today. I posted it this morning. It's probably like, I don't know what time it was, maybe 7:30 this morning. Which topic should I cover? So this is a topic that I had in here. Andy from LA, what up? This is a topic that I had in here yesterday in the vote. It actually lost the vote yesterday, so I talked about mental health instead. But then I put it up again against something else today, and today it won. So, and it was a close vote. I think it was like maybe 1 or 2, 3 or 4 votes was the difference between this topic and the other topic, which was just creating clarity to move yourself forward quicker. But people wanted this topic, so this is the topic we're talking about. And we are getting started in like 10 seconds. Whoever's here is here. And everybody else can watch it on replay, or it'll be on Facebook as well. And what's the other place? YouTube, that other website. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. Former 9-year professional athlete, authored 27 books, created this whole philosophy, this brand, and this business that is called Work on Your Game. Is all about taking the mentality and the tools necessary to get into the top 1% of what you do. And I did that initially through sports, and taking those same mental tools, and I teach people how to use those tools in business, in life, and in sports, also for the athletes that I still serve. So in that understanding, what we talk about here is not just mindset. It's not just, all right, be disciplined, be confident, be strong, and work hard. It's not just that. There are elements that when your mind is in the right space, there are actions that you're going to take to follow up that mentality. So that's what we talk about here at Work on Your Game. So understand, even though the way I described it is taking the mental tools, that doesn't mean all we talk about is just thinking and positive belief and all that kind of stuff. We talk about actual tangible things to do, which is what one of the topics is what we're talking about here today. What people could actually do. Today's topic, again, as voted on by the audience, Yizao over there on Facebook was good. Everybody on Facebook who's watching, shout yourself out. I will shout you out in the comments if you're brave. But what we're talking about here today is something that a couple days ago when I was doing a live, I forget what the topic was, maybe Thursday. I think it was Thursday. I was talking about, I believe, the NBA boycott when the players didn't play in the games. It might have been the day before day. I don't remember. Players didn't play the game, but I was doing a live talking about did the players get it right? And I was just sharing my perspective on what the NBA has been doing. I'm talking about the NBA as an organization, the whole NBA, and then the players individually, the things they've been saying, and all of this racial unrest that's been going on. We've been talking about this for like the last 4 days. So this is what we're going to talk about here today, because people in the comments were asking me, well, Dre, because I had some critical points that I made about the NBA and the actions they've been taking and the statements they've been making. So a couple people said, well, Dre, what would your solution be? What would you tell NBA players to do since they are promoting this message of social justice? And I talked about a little bit about that, not a lot, a little bit, but a lot about that yesterday. Somebody said, what can we really do to end racism and police brutality? Well, Isaiah, we're going to talk about that here today. And I'm going to answer all questions at the end. So what I'm going to talk about here today is not necessarily about the NBA. This could be for black people, period. Because what the message that the NBA is putting out, and again, I may be in a little bit of a bubble myself, because when I see NBA reporters or ESPN or the NBA in general, or some message from a player gets retweeted, finds its way to my timeline, because I don't follow a lot of people on any social media platform, but when one of these messages find its way to my timeline, and I think that message could be kind of questionable, I look and just see how people are responding to it, and I'm seeing a lot of people are supporting it. They're like, yeah, this is perfect, you're saying the right thing. Or when LeBron says, F this, we demand change, forget this shit, we want change. And other players are saying similar things that are kind of vague, and there's not really any real meat on that bone. There's no substance to what they're saying, nothing behind it, but it sounds good for social media. It's a great soundbite. And then the media traditional media. These are people who are trained, trained journalists, or I hope they're trained. They're amplifying this message. Many of them white, and they ain't got no choice but to amplify it, because otherwise they'd be labeled as racist and they'd be out of a job. So I understand the whole game that's being played here. I understand the whole hustle, but at the same time, people also got to be open to looking at different ways of achieving outcomes. As right now, I'm not sure that many people who are pushing this social justice, racial equality, all these phrases that again said change, all these things, like, okay, what exactly do you want to happen? I haven't really heard anyone come forward with a clear plan on what can happen. Today on ESPN, on the website ESPN, I saw that someone had written an article where they had interviewed a couple people who work in legislature and government and politics, and asked them, what can players do? And I browsed the article. I didn't read it yet. I have saved it, but I will read it later on today just to see what they were saying. But the things that they were saying were it was that's not going to get anybody excited. Nobody's going to really get excited about the things that they laid out in that article. Not to say that they are not useful, but it's not anything that's not going to play well on social media, because a lot of people on social media are shallow thinking, small-minded individuals, and you got to give them things in tiny bite-sized morsels they can understand. So hopefully today I'm going to give you some of those, but I'm going to expand them. So once you eat it, it's going to expand. All right, it's like yeast. All right, so that's what we're going to do here today. Here's my plan for what black people, period. Any of you who is a BLM supporter, if you are really hoping for change, you want social justice, you want equality, you want any of those phrases that's been thrown around. Y'all know the things y'all be saying and hashtagging. If you want any of those things, today I'm going to give you the plan that black people could enact that would actually produce results for black people. And I'm going to tell you up front, for those of you who do not know me, who are not familiar with me, you have not watched many of these lives, first thing is that I'm going to answer all questions at the end. So if you leave a comment, I will address it, but at the end. The other thing is, I'm not going to tell you what you think you're going to hear. And I'm probably not going to tell you what you want to hear, but I am going to tell you something that will work if you will follow it. And I have proof that it works, because everything I'm talking about here is not a everyone needs to do it together thing. This is an individual person can do this, and a whole group of people can do it. So you could take 50, or how many players playing in the NBA now in the bubble, in the playoffs? Let's say you got 200 NBA players. All the NBA players who have been posting all this woke shit, they could go do this as a group and it would work. And you, individual person, maybe you're not in the NBA, but you're black and you want to know how black people can move ahead, or you feel like there's something going on now that is bad and you want blacks to advance past it, you can do this on your own individually, even if nobody else is involved. So understand that this plan can be proven, and you can test it out yourself through your own actions. And I am proof positive of the things I'm going to explain to you here today. So now let's get into the points. What can black people do, or a black person do, for all the noise about social justice and what people could do these days? Number one point, this is the most important thing that black folks need to do. And this is the most important point that some black folks ain't gonna want to hear, but I'm gonna tell it to you anyway, because this is how progress is made. Sometimes you got to look at things in ways that you otherwise might not want to look at. Number one thing, turn your focus inward. And I'm pausing here to let that one sink in. Number one thing black people need to do right now is turn your focus, our focus, their focus inward. Meaning, instead of looking at what Donald Trump is doing, or whomever you want to label as racist, whoever you think is racist, whatever they're doing, stop looking at that. Whatever system or inequities exist that have been put in place by America, and that you feel like it's oppressing or hurting or slowing down the progress of black people as a group, stop looking at that. Stop looking at whatever else you think is outside of your control that is in your way of success. Stop looking at that. Turn your focus inward towards your own community. Black people need to turn our focus towards the black community. What can you do individually as a person that will uplift the black community by your own efforts? Not by what everybody else does, not by what they do or he does or they do, what you do. That's the first thing that we need to do, is the most important thing that we need to do. And it's something that this is an ongoing thing, okay? This is not all right, we need to do this one time, all these points one time and everything's going to be good. No, this is an ongoing, all the time mentality. And let me explain to you why this mentality matters. If you look at anyone who's watching this who is not black, the Jewish community, the Italian community, the Latin community, if you go into smaller denominations, the Cuban community, All of these communities, Asian communities from whatever countries, Vietnamese, Chinese, Americans, Japanese, whatever groups of people, whatever group, whether it's by religion, race, color, country that they're from, when they get to the United States, the first thing that they do is they go find other people, even usually before they even get here, they find other people from their same group, whether that's religious or ethnic or cultural, country, whatever. They find those other people and they all pool their resources, whether that's knowledge, money, connections, expertise, and they put it all together, and then they help each other out and they uplift their communities. And that's why all these communities are actual communities. That's why Jewish is a community. Latins are a community. Cubans are a community. Now, Asian Americans, whatever country they're from, those are they're communities. There are pockets of these communities all around the United States, and many of them outperform black people, even though black people have been here in America way longer. Now, black people say something like, well, Dre, yeah, you're right, but the reason why they outperform black people is because, and then you start listing off all your grievances against America and against white people and against Donald Trump or MAGA or whoever you think is the problem that is leading to black people not being further ahead after all these years in the United States. And my answer to that, my retort to that point is that is incorrect. The reason why black people are not as far ahead as other groups that have been here for less time than us is because black people's focus, for whatever reason, there are many reasons we could talk about. There are books written on this subject. Black people's focus has been diverted outside of our own communities towards other things. Our focus has been diverted towards politics. Oh, we need to go vote. Oh, that's going to change everything. Oh, there's racist stuff going on. Oh, let's go vote. That's the thing that NBA players, the only actionable thing I've heard from them is go vote. Well, listen, we had Obama for 8 years. You couldn't advance during 8 years. Couldn't do it then. All right, now Trump's here, and people think, well, Trump is the problem. Okay, so now we're going to vote in, I guess, let's say Biden and Kamala Harris win. Is that going to change anything? Of course it's not going to change anything. Not for black people in general. Maybe things will change because we got a different person, but it's not going to change anything for the community of black folks because it's not the government that's going to do it. I've said this many times before, and again, those of you who are not familiar with me, many of the points that I'm going to make here today to support my overall points are things that I say all the time, and I'm going to keep saying them. The government is not designed to help people who are capable of helping themselves. That is not what the government is for. The government is designed to help people who can't help themselves. The government is designed to help the people when you drive off the highway and there's somebody there with a cup and a sign asking for a couple of dollars. The government is made for them. They're not made for y'all with your smartphones and your data connections and your new Jordan sneakers. All right, the government is not made for you. Government is made for people who can't do anything for self. If you can do for self, our focus as black people needs to be on the black community. What are you doing as an individual person to add value to the black community? Whether that's in terms of your money, your knowledge, your skills, your accomplishments, the information that you're sharing. If you're giving people connections, you're showing them how to do things that you know how to do. That's how you add to the community. The problem is, even though we have plenty of people who have plenty of human capital, a lot of them are directing their skills or their resources towards things that are not going to help the community. For example, let's go attack whoever the president is, and let's get mad at the government, let's get mad at the cops, let's go outside and protest, let's go get mad at a white person because they won't yell Black Lives Matter. All that bullshit is not doing anything for the black community. It feels good, it looks good, it sounds good. It plays really well on social media, but it does nothing in the end for the black community. After you do all that protesting and all that attacking white people and all that yelling and all that posting, all right, did the community move forward through all those actions? If the answer is no, then you, the person who is partaking in it, and if you happen to be partaking, I'm talking to you, you have to ask yourself, okay, now when am I going to take some action that's going to move the community forward? What can I do today that's going to move the community forward? Not looking back at what you think is wrong or who you think is wrong that's outside of us. What do we need to do for ourselves? This is what every other group does. The reason why this is a proven point, you look at any other group. Again, people who are watching this, if you are not black, does your group do this? Are there Asians watching this? Do Asians do this? Do Latin people do this? Do Jewish people do this? They all do it. They all look inward to their own community at what we could do to help each other to uplift the whole community, except black people. We're the only community that doesn't do this. We're the only community that doesn't look inward. We are always looking at white people, and we're looking at the government, and now we're looking at the cops. All right, the white people, government, cops. That's what black people focus on whenever something's not going right. Then you got what black people talk. Name everything black people bring up when things are going wrong for them, or they see something going wrong for a fellow black person. They start listing off our talking points, right? All right, racism. That's America. Let's call that white people in government. Then you got the police. All right, police are killing us. All right, that's the police. Then it's Donald Trump. All right, that's government. Then it's it's the laws, the local laws we got to work on. That's government. There are all these lines of things that we do it. And there's somebody said Nigerian American, Africans as well. So black people call themselves African Americans. You know, one of my boys, he's talking about, I'm talking to him about these same points, and he's talking about, well, he goes on his rants, and he's like, yeah, man, they brought us here, man. We had no power. I said, motherfucker, you from Pittsburgh, all right? You ain't from Africa. You ain't never been to Africa. You ain't even got a fucking passport, all right? They didn't bring you anywhere. Your ass been in Pittsburgh. You still in Pittsburgh. You was born in Pittsburgh. You ain't African. So this guy here, David said, Nigerian Americans do it. So people from different countries, again, different religions, races, ethnicities, they all do it except black people in America, because our focus is diverted to things that have nothing to do with what we got going on. Yi Zhao said, those actions make the black community look bad to other races. So I'm assuming, Yi, that you're Asian. I don't know what country you're from, but this is proving my point. We're the only group that does not do this. So when blacks make this noise about white people, and we reply to that with oppression, systemic racism, slavery, and I've said this on my show, my audio show called Work on Your Game. I don't think this episode came out yet, but it's coming soon. When people bring up slavery and 400 years and oppression and this and that, and this is the thing that I tell people. All right, slavery been over. All right, slavery been over for a while now. All right, nobody who is listening to me right now was a slave. Nobody who's listening to me right now was a slave owner. Nobody who's listening to me knows a living slave or a living slave owner. All right, nobody. There's no living slaves, and there are no living slave owners, at least not from the American slave trade that we know about. And people like to say things like, can we agree that people like to say stuff like, don't live in the past, we need to live in the present and focus on the future because we can't do nothing about it. People like to say these things, and everyone seems to agree with the statement, except when it's black people talking about the problems of black people in America. We always turn around and look at the past. We always say, well, this happened back then, this happened back then, this happened back then, and then people say, well, it's still going on today. That's the reason why we keep bringing up the past. So black people have come up with these great rationalizations for continuing to live in the past. Well, that happened a long time ago. It didn't happen to me, but I'm going to keep talking about it because it happened to other people, and that's the reason why we can't move forward right now. That's bullshit. This is bullshit. The Jewish people, I don't know if any of you know any Jewish people. I know several. I know a lot of Jewish people. And the Holocaust was damn near 100 years after slavery, meaning it was much more recent, meaning there are Jewish people alive today who experienced the Holocaust, meaning they saw it. They might have been in one of those concentration camps and was able to survive. They knew people, like in their lives, that they knew who did not survive the Holocaust, and that was almost 100 years after slavery. I don't never hear Jewish people complaining about the Holocaust when something goes wrong in the Jewish community. I never hear a Jewish person say, you know what, I can't get ahead in life right now, and I'm afraid for my life, and I'm in fear, and we need change because of the Holocaust. You know, the Holocaust happened, and things are still happening. I never hear a Jewish person say that. Now, again, I probably hear from more black people on a day-to-day basis than I hear from Jewish people, but I don't hear this. If any of you hear Jewish people ever saying that, I never hear Jewish people even mention the Holocaust as not in a negative way. Black people bring up slavery like as a shield to defend themselves for complaining about shit every single day. I just don't understand this. Understand something about life, ladies and gentlemen. You can only focus on one thing at a time. You can't focus in two directions at the same time. You cannot focus on the present and the past at the same time. You cannot look forward to what you're going to do next while you're still looking backwards at what has already happened. Whether it happened to you, whether it happened to somebody that you know, whether you just know about it and you think it was a terrible thing that took place. Maybe people agree with you. You cannot look backward and forward at the same time. You must make a choice. Right now, black people are choosing to look backward. And I'm not saying all black people, of course. But there's a large majority of black people, many of them who have been positioned as quote-unquote leaders in our culture, who are telling everybody to look backward. Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Oppression. This bad thing happened, this bad thing. And he brought up these same talking points. He had people looking backward. And I'm not mad at Kaepernick. He had a right to say what he wanted to say. Everyone has that right, just like I do right now. But he has people looking backwards. And people are looking at him as somebody to follow. these athletes who many of them do not have in my opinion, don't have the qualifications to be leaders of a community. They're great basketball players. Doesn't mean they're qualified to lead people on these topics of intellect that require deep thought. But this is the culture that we got. And there are many reasons for that. Some of them I'm going to get into here. That somehow our culture has begun to follow a rapper or somebody who can shoot or catch a football or basketball as a leader in the culture, and that's a whole other thing that maybe we'll get into some of that here today. But these NBA players have influence. We all can agree to that. The fact that we're even talking about some of it right now, but they're using it to focus on negatives and backward movement instead of positive forward movement, and that is keeping us stagnant or moving us backwards. Now, let's get some things clear here, because we got to be fair. Are there police officers out there who have done some things that they should not have done, at least from what we know at this point? All right, until we get more information, from what we know at this point, does it look like, at least from the videos that we've seen and the evidence that we have on hand as of this moment, does it look like some cops have done some things they shouldn't have done? Yes. Is it possible someone could look at those things and interpret them as that cop was wrong? Absolutely yes. Now, could we find out otherwise when we get more information and everybody goes to court and gets to have their say? Yes, we could find out that maybe they weren't wrong. Maybe they were doing what they were supposed to do, at least based on the training. So could that mean that the laws are wrong or the rules are wrong? Yes and yes, okay? So is it possible that some bad shit has happened to some black people in America in the past, in the last week, in the last 90 days? Yes, yes, and yes, okay? Now here's the other question. Is that going to happen again? Will there be another black person who gets killed by a police officer probably in the next 120 days? Will there be a video of a black person being brutalized or shot by a police officer in America? Just by statistics alone, on average, the probability is very high that that's going to happen. There will be another video of a black person being shot by a cop before the year is over. It's a high probability that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, we got lucky. It's going to happen. Now, here's the next question. Can you stop everything and focus on the past every single time that happens? You could, but is that going to move us forward? No, because as I just told you, you can't focus on the past and on the future at the same time. So if we stop everything, if the NBA players boycott, or NFL, or WNBA, or what's the other sports, everybody just decides, I'm not doing anything today because something happened with black people, so we need racial justice. If something happens to a black person, the whole world stops. We need racial justice. We're not going to do any work today because something bad happened to a black person. We can't do that every single time something bad happens to anybody, because something bad happens to something bad is happening to somebody right now in the world that we don't even know about. Is not on camera, or it is on camera. It's not going to come out because it's not sensational enough. We can't stop the world every time something bad happens to somebody, because bad shit happens every day. All right, just life. That's human nature. Human beings are not perfect. So are we moving forward or are we moving backward? Because we can't do both at the same time. And you can't move forward while looking backward. All right, whatever direction you're looking, that's the direction you're going to go. Point number 2. The topic here today, we are talking about the plan that I would give to black people and to NBA players who feel like, since they have a quote-unquote platform and they have attention, and they think, I guess they feel like because they have that, that means they are qualified to lead. What can they do if they were asking me for a plan? Second thing we need a system of relegation. Now I want y'all to listen very closely to this point when I say a system of relegation. In professional sports, I played my career basketball overseas. In overseas basketball, I believe they do this in soccer as well, or football. The worst teams in each league at the end of the year, the worst, let's say the bottom 2, for example, they get kicked out of the league that they're in, and they get relegated to the lower league, the next lower league under them. And then the best 2 teams from the lower league, they get to move up to the higher league. So basically it's a meritocracy. So let's just say if it was the NBA, the worst 2 teams in the NBA, whoever that was this year, let's say the Bulls and who else was terrible? Any Detroit Pistons, whatever. They get kicked out the NBA, they get kicked into the G League. So next year the Bulls and the Pistons are in the G League, and then the top 2 teams in the G League, they get to move up and play in the NBA. That's probably not going to happen in the NBA, but that's the system of relegation, just so y'all understand how that works. You get rid of your worst, and then you bring in your best. Now I'm telling you that to tell you this. We as a community cannot give all of our attention to everyone in the community, because that attention has to be earned. There's only a certain amount of time that we all have, a certain amount of resources we have. Every energy can't go to everyone at all the time. It has to go to the people who are most effectively and efficiently uplifting the community. Those are people that we need to focus on. Now, I'm telling you that to explain to you. I'll give you another anecdote. Charles Barkley wrote this book years ago. Him and Mike Wilbon wrote a book together. And Charles was talking about how in the black community, we often tolerate the idiots and the fools and the people who are bringing the community backwards. And we put so much energy into them that when somebody who's actually helping the community is around, we're not giving them the amount of energy we need to give them. We need to put everything on them and leave the idiots alone, kick them out of the community. And Charles said he asked a Jewish guy that he knows, a guy named Tony Kornheiser, who works for ESPN. He does the show Pardon the Interruption with Wilbon. And Tony Kornheiser is Jewish. And Charles said he asked Tony, in the Jewish community, when you have an idiot in the community, you have a person who's bringing the community down, bringing the community backwards, not doing anything to help the community out, what happens? What do you do with them? Tony said, you know what Tony Kornheiser said? He said, we get rid of them. When we have an idiot in our community, we don't put any energy into them. We don't put any money into them. We do not focus on them. We get rid of them. We excommunicate them from what we got going on. We try to help them a little bit at first. But if they show that they want to be an idiot and they keep making the same mistakes, we got to let them go. We got to get rid of them. And then that's pretty much how the game goes. When I was growing up playing basketball in my community in Philadelphia, Mount Airy, there was like 3 basketball coaches in the neighborhood, but it's like 100 kids who want to play ball. So in that community, I didn't get a whole lot of individual attention because the coaches, there's only 3 of them, they can't coach everybody. So they would focus on the few players at our age group who showed some promise. So when I was 15, the best players in the neighborhood who looked like they might go somewhere with basketball at that age, those are the ones who got all the attention. They got the individual attention. They got brought in to do individual workouts. They played AAU. They got taken to tournaments. They got on the best teams, on the select teams, and all that stuff. So they got even better because they were getting that individual attention. And the rest of us, the other 95% of us, we were left to basically figure it out on our own. And most of those players ended up not playing basketball because they didn't have any talent at first. They didn't get individual attention. They were left to just figure it out. Some of them quit. Most of them quit. And there were a few like me who slipped through the cracks and ended up making it anyway. But the point that I'm making is this. That's the game. In life, this is the game. The people who are producing the most and giving the most and helping uplift whatever group the most are the ones who should get all the attention. Everybody else, they get left alone. And if you happen to start, if you work your way up to where you're showing like you're doing some good stuff, all right, you'll get some attention. But if you never become that person, you never ascend to that level, you'll never get any attention. This is the way that it works. Everybody else basically gets left to figure things out on their own, how they're going to do it. That's the game, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way that it works in all of life. In the modeling industry, if you want to be a model, the models who show the most promise are the ones who get the modeling coaches and the modeling contracts, and they get better. And those who don't, you get no attention, and you're probably pretty much going to stop modeling. In business, it's the same thing. Whatever products or services, if you got a bunch of products in your business, whichever ones are selling the most, those are the ones you focus on, and the ones that are not selling, you probably just let them collect dust back in the inventory in the warehouse. Why? Because they're not selling. They're not producing anything. It's the same thing with human beings in every community. The top producers are the ones who should be getting the attention, and the ones who are not bringing the community up should be left alone to do whatever they're going to do, but we can't keep giving them energy. Coaches, we got any coaches out here in the sports world? Do you recruit players with no talent, or do you recruit players who are showing that they have promise because they're going to help you win games? Of course. All right, that's a ridiculous question to ask. Black people in our community, we need to do the exact same thing. Now, what I'm about to say is no disrespect to anyone or to the families of those who have been slain, or anybody who's lost their life, or anyone who feels like they've been a victim of the police or anything like that. But at the same time, I remember when Donald Trump when he was campaigning, he was talking about, I believe he's talking about Mexico, when he was talking about build the wall. He was saying, well, they're sending people over here, but they're not sending their best. They're sending people who are on drugs and people who are drug dealers and rapists. And he was saying all these negative things. He was generalizing, so I can see how people took that as racist. But let's just say, if he was being correct, the point that he was making would be accurate, because what he's saying is, we don't want the worst people from your community coming here. We want the best people. We want the people who are actually going to help the community, not the people who are going to bring the community down. And it's the same thing with us. And Candace Owens, who most of you probably know who she is, she's a black conservative female, and she did this long, like 20-minute video where she was talking about George Floyd shortly after he passed, and she was kind of trashing his name. Not kind of, she was definitely trashing his name. And she was bringing up his past and his track record, that he had been to court many times, he had been jailed many times, he had been arrested many times. And I thought she was going way too hard on a dude who wasn't alive anymore. But the general point that she was making, and I'm going to paraphrase it here in my way, what she was saying that we can't take the people who are not uplifting the community and put so much energy into those individuals. And that does not mean that we're going to be callous and act like their life didn't matter at all. But at the same time, we can't give all of our resources to those individuals who are not uplifting the community. And the truth is, the things that she was saying about his track record were actually true. Again, does not mean he deserved to die. Does not mean that his life doesn't matter. Does not mean that that cop is absolved of the wrongdoing if he actually did wrong, which we'll find out when they go to court. And that court date's not even until spring of 2021. But the point is, we got to give our energy to our best. We can't give our energy to things that are not helping uplift the community. This is the point that I'm making. Whoever our best are, they get the attention. We can't dedicate our resources to anyone who's not uplifting the community. And the thing is, I was talking to one of my men, a couple of my guys a couple of days ago, and I was saying, listen, these things that are happening with police, we can agree. Now, whether, again, this has nothing to do with the cops. We can agree that before the cops did what they did, knee on the neck, shooting a gun, choking somebody, returning fire, whatever it happened to be, before the cops did anything, those individuals did something. Again, this is not to justify the actions of the cop. This is to talk about the actions of the suspect who became the victim. Did they do something first before the cop responded? They all did something. If you resist arrest, you know that the cops have power. They have situational power. Every cop you deal with got a gun. So if you don't have a gun and the cop has a gun, it will be a bad decision. It will be an error in judgment for you to get in an altercation with a person who has a gun when you ain't got one, especially when they had the power to use it legally. It just doesn't make any sense. That's a bad decision. Now, people who make bad decisions over and over and over again, those aren't the best in our community. We can't give all our attention to people who are not making wise decisions that, again, uplift the community. This is just a truth. And again, I will say one more time, just to make sure so nobody takes this out of context, that this is not to say that those people's lives didn't matter. That is not to say that the cops are absolved if they did wrong, and we will find out when they go to court. And that is not to say that what happened to them is completely justified. But it is to say that people who are not making the best decisions to uplift our community should not be getting all of our attention. So when the NBA players say, we're not going to play a game because something happened to a person who is making bad decisions and had a track record of making bad decisions, we're giving our attention to people who are not doing the most to uplift our community. And that is taking us backwards because you cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. So where is our focus going? To think people and things that are uplifting, or people and things who are either keeping us stagnant at best or bringing us backwards at worst? That's just a question that we got to ask ourselves as a community. And that's a tough conversation that most black people, the woke individuals, the BLM, going hard supporting individuals, and probably most NBA players aren't ready to have that conversation right now. And who knows if they'll ever be ready. But until that conversation can be had, our community can't move forward. Because I guarantee you, the Asian community, the Nigerian community, the Japanese community, the Jewish community, the Latin community, the Cuban community, they have these conversations. They say, look, all right, this individual right here, all right, he keeps getting arrested. He keeps going to jail. He keeps making bad decisions. He ain't got a job. All he's doing is bringing the community down. You know what? We're not giving him any more of our resources. We're not giving him no more attention. We're not helping him out no more. Next time he gets arrested, we're not answering the call. We're not dealing with this dude no more. He's out of the community. He's one of us, but we're not giving any more resources to him because he's not bringing us up. He's bringing us backwards. That's it. We're done with him. In our community, in the black community, we seem to take these individuals who are not bringing the community up, and we present them, we frame them as, oh, they're victims of the system. Well, before that thing happened and made them a victim, the cop, the shooting, whatever it was, look, they were doing things to bring the community down way before that. Look at their track record. And we got to do this. We got to have that conversation. Candace Owens said that, but she said it so harshly that people weren't really ready to hear it. She said it in a very non-empathetic way. And that turned a whole lot of people off. And she said she had already positioned herself a certain way that people just said whatever she said, they were going to go against it. But hopefully I said that in a more respectful, empathetic way, in a more logical way. But there are still people who don't want to hear it, even with the way that I said it. But we can't save everybody. That's the bottom line. We cannot save everybody. We can't be everything to everyone. Point number 3, topic here today, what black people could do with the energy that we have going on right now. I mean, we have energy. We got attention. Everybody's looking at and wondering, what do we do next? So what could we do with this energy? Number 3 thing is here's the thing that we do to move forward. All right, so now I just told you what I told you where we need to focus. I told you what we need to stop doing. Now let me tell you what we need to do to actually move forward. Number 3 thing we must do is we must invest in human capital. Human capital. Now let me give you a definition of what human capital is. This is coming straight from a website called Investopedia.com. Human capital is, this is a quote, human capital is an intangible asset or quality not listed on a company's balance sheet. It can be classified as the economic value of a worker's experience and skills. This includes assets such as education, training, intelligence, skills, health, and other things that employers value, such as loyalty and punctuality. Close quote. In other words, human capital are the tools and abilities, the elements that make an individual more valuable. That's what human capital is. Our community as blacks need to focus on human capital. Again, all those communities I mentioned, the Asian community, Yizhao, Chinese community, Japanese community, Nigerian community, the Jewish community, the Cuban community, they all focus on human capital. Here's how you get smarter. Here's how you learn to trade. Here's how you get better at coding. Here's how you go get a job. Here's how you go make some money and give it back to the community. Here's how you develop a skill. You start a company and then you hire one of ours so that now they got a job. They can learn how to run a business. And then when they save up their money, they open a business on the other side of town. So now we got a little community going. We got a little conglomerate going. This is what every community does except black folks. Every other community does this. Yizhao, do Asian people do this? A man who said he's from the Nigerian community. Do Nigerians do this? Any of you who is not black, does your community do this? Do you see your parents doing this? Do you see your aunts and uncles, your grandparents doing this? Your cousins, do you see them doing this? Do they sit down and talk to you about this? This is not something you learn in school. It's not something you learn on Instagram. This is something that you learn at home. Does every community do this? If any person watching this who's not black, let me know, does your community do this? Is this taught to you growing up? Building human capital, teaching each other in the community how to do the same thing, and then the whole community, the level raises up for everybody. David said, Nigerian community, they do this. Every other community does this. I know people who are not black, and I've had these conversations with them. I say, do y'all help each other out when you first come? Somebody comes to the country broke. They just came here, no money, can't even speak the language, doesn't know anybody. Do you get people from your community? They're from your country, but they're established here. Do they help you out? Do they tell you where to get a job? Do they take you around and help you get something to eat? Do they help you put some money in your pocket, find you a place to live? Do they help you do this? They said, yes, that's exactly what we did. And then we help each other out. We are not doing this. The black community does not do this because, and you said, why doesn't the black community do this? It's because we are focused on white people. We're focused on the government, and we're focused on the cops. We're focused on everything other than inward. Our focus is not inward. Our focus is outward. And this is why we're not able to build or invest in human capital. So let's keep talking about human capital. The uplifting of the black community, ladies and gentlemen, has nothing to do with what white people are doing. And this is the key point that the NBA doesn't want to hear right now. And when I say the NBA, I'm talking about the black players in the NBA. I'm not talking about the commissioner. He's white. He ain't got nothing to do with it. The black players in the NBA, the what's the chick's name? The Jamel Hills, the Sean Kings, the Colin Kaepernicks, the LeBron Jameses, the Al Sharptons. They don't want to hear about this. They don't want to hear what I just said because this takes away from their whole platform. Listen, all those people I just mentioned, their whole platform exists, at least when it comes to race. Now, LeBron could actually play ball too, but outside of that, their whole platform exists because they can continue to tell black people that follow them, our issue is because of what white people are doing to us. If that stopped happening or they no longer had that as a talking point, we would not be even listening to these individuals. Al Sharpton exists to tell black people why white people are our problem. That's all Al Sharpton does. He brings nothing else to the table. Jesse Jackson, I don't know where he's at. I haven't heard from him in a while. Colin Kaepernick, I don't know where he's at. He doesn't talk. Jamel Hill had a promising career going to ESPN. She decided she wanted to go the woke route and demonize black people and weaponize this racial thing. And it was great timing. Jamel, that was a great business move for her as long as she wants to stay in that. As long as this woke shit keeps going, Jamel will be gainfully employed or have a business or whatever the hell she's doing. LeBron, same thing, even though he can hoop as well. Is our focus from our quote-unquote leaders, these are the people, all y'all know these people, is focused on what white people are doing or what white people have done to us. Then you got a guy like Sean King who ain't even black. He's not even half black. He's speaking for black people. I don't understand how you could be black following a dude who ain't even black. But anyway, that's a different conversation for a different day. The uplifting of the black community has nothing to do with white people. It is not about avenging the past, because the past is done. We cannot go back and undo what happened. What happened has already happened. It is not about screaming about reparations. And black people talking about reparations. You never went through slavery, so what you trying to get paid for? What you go through? You ain't go through shit. You don't get paid. No, don't scream about reparations. It ain't about 400 years of nothing. Don't talk the systemic oppression unless you got a tangible plan like what I've laid out here today that could really get people focused on a new opportunity to do something for the community. All right, I don't want to hear about nothing that white people are doing. It's about building our own community from the inside out. This is the whole thing. This is something that I tell individual people. This is something that I tell athletes. This is something I tell entrepreneurs. And it's something that I would tell anyone in the black community who wants to know, what can I individually do to help the black community? Because you can't get everybody to listen to you all at once. At least not if you're saying something like what I'm saying right now. If LeBron went and said what I just said right now, a bunch of black people would get mad at LeBron for even saying it. They're like, well, what about what these white people are doing? No, we can't. This is a distraction for you to even say something like that. That's what they would say if LeBron said what I just said. Not all of them, but a majority of them, I believe that's what they would say. Inside out, meaning even if someone else does something wrong, even if someone else is at fault, even if someone else is clearly in the wrong in a situation, we cannot move ourselves forward by focusing on the other person, because you can't control other people. You can't control what other people did. You can't control other people's opinions. You can always control your own actions. And as a community, black people, there is plenty of human capital that we have. We got plenty of smart people, knowledgeable people, funny people, great athletes, intelligent individuals, people who can articulate, people with skills, people who know how to know a trade, people who can teach, people who want to learn, people who want to get better, people who want to advance. We got all the skills. All the tools are there. The capital is there. The problem is many of the people with the capital are choosing to focus that capital on things outside of the black community. They're focusing on Trump. They're focusing on the government. You focus on white people. You focus on marching and hashtagging and kneeling. But none of that is uplifting the community. All that's doing is drawing a lot of attention. It'll get you a whole bunch of followers, and it will get you retweeted and liked and commented and all those things all those short-term things that people like these days. But is that uplifting the community? It's absolutely not. It's bringing the community backwards. And this is where we're at right now. So this is why right now, the only thing you hear black people talking about is kneeling and, we need to go vote. Who the fuck we voting for? Joe Biden? That's what we voting for? That's going to change things? Is that going to end systemic oppression? Is that going to end government problems? That's going to end the police? That's going to end black people not having jobs? That's not going to do anything. All right, Joe Biden's just another president. I said this many times already this week. Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown got murdered when Barack Obama was the president. He was black. All right, you voted for him. So if it can happen under a black guy, what's another white guy going to do? And the whole point is it ain't got nothing to do with the president. All right, Obama's not the reason those guys died. Trump's not the reason these people are dying. They ain't out there shooting nobody. All right, they in the White House, working. They ain't shooting nobody. They ain't even touching the gun. They got hired shooters right next to them everywhere they go. So it ain't about the president. So these athletes are saying, well, we need to go vote as if that's the solution to everything. All right, now people voted, now what? NBA players walked out or boycotted, whatever you want to call it, earlier this week. They said, well, no, we don't want to play because we want change. Okay, now today they playing again. All right, what changed since Wednesday? Can somebody inform me what changed since Wednesday? They said, we don't want to play until we get change. That was on Wednesday. Today's Saturday, they playing. There's 3 games on the schedule. What happened? This is what happens when you have no leadership. You're doing things that make you look silly. You look stupid. Nobody's calling you out because all your fans are just co-signing everything that you do, even though it doesn't make any sense. But this is what happens when there's no leadership. You do things that just look dumb, and now our whole community is looking like some idiots because our leaders are a bunch of people who are unqualified to lead. They don't know how to formulate a plan. They got a job. They play basketball. That's what they should be doing. Play basketball. That's what you do. All right. Let the people who are qualified to lead. Problem is, we don't know who those people are because unless they talk some woke shit, anti-Trump, anti-white people, anti-government, anti-police, we will never hear their message because their message won't get amplified. And who owns all the social media platforms that are amplifying these messages? A whole bunch of white people. So you tell me. You tell me where the solution's at. You tell me what the problem is. So for black people, anyway, to wrap up this point, black people, somebody asked, I saw on social media, I've heard many people say this. They say, well, I heard one of my men say this before. I remember when Puffy had the Revolt Summit, T.I. said this to Candace Owens. I heard somebody say it on social media today. Many people have said this. They said, all right, Trump came out with Make America Great Again. And somebody says, well, when was America ever great? What is he talking about? When was America great? Well, it's two answers to that question. First of all, Make America Great Again is a sales pitch, is a slogan. The whole purpose of that slogan is so that each individual who hears it can fill in the blank with whatever they want. So when he says Make America Great Again, for some people it'll be, oh, well, 5 years ago it was great. Or right before the recession, America was great. Great, let's make it great again, Donald Trump, I'll vote for you. And for other people, it might be back in the 1960s, before, maybe during the Civil Rights Movement. For other people, it might be during the 80s when Reagan was in. For other people, it might be the 90s. For other people, they don't even know. Maybe they're just like, well, he's going to make it great, I'm happy with that. And other people are like, well, when was it great? You're taking it literally. The whole point of the slogan is not to take it literally. Barack Obama campaign was, yes, we can. Well, yes, we can what? Nobody ever asked that question. What can we do? He said, yes, we can. Yes, we can what? Nobody asked, because it's not to be taken literally. It's a sales pitch. The whole point is to leave it blank so that anyone can fill it in with whatever they think was great, and that's going to get them to vote for Trump. And obviously the shit worked. What was Hillary Clinton's campaign slogan? We don't even know, because it was so terrible that nobody even remembered it. What's Joe Biden's slogan? We don't even know, because it's so bad nobody even knows what it is. And that's why he's not going to win. But anyway, when was America great for black people? America was beginning to get great for black people after slavery, pre-civil rights movement, pre-1960s. It wasn't because of the civil rights movement that it got worse. So let me be clear. So let's say the 60s. Between 1860s and the 1960s, blacks were actually getting better. And you know why they were getting better? Even though the right to vote was not all the way out there. Even though blacks did not have civil rights. Even though you had Jim Crow laws. Even though black people were not being treated fairly and equally, black people were rising. The tide was rising for black people in this period after slavery, before the 1960s. This is almost a 100-year period. Blacks were doing well. America was beginning to look great for black people. Despite the burning of Black Wall Street and all these things that happened in that time, America was beginning to become more and more great for black people. Let me tell you why. Because blacks were investing in human capital. They realized, here's what happened after slavery. Let's think about this time period. And I'm not a historian, okay? So just think about this time period is after slavery, before Martin Luther King and the marches and all that. All right, what was happening in that time period for black people? So they're not slaves anymore, right? So they're free to do whatever they want to do. They don't have civil rights, because civil rights didn't happen until the 60s. They don't have, a lot of them, well, we're not even going to say about property. Many of them did start to own property, but they don't have civil rights. A lot of them could not vote. So it wasn't about the politicians. And even if they could vote, they weren't voting because they were being intimidated from even going to vote by racist white people who were against them. But black people were still living. Like, all of these things, they didn't have access to the same tools and resources and materials that white people had because, again, we didn't have civil rights. So all of these things were working against, quote unquote, against black people for damn near 100 years, but black people were getting better. Why? Because black people realized, without anyone having to shout it out of a megaphone, that, okay, these white people are not really caring about us. They are not making any laws or rules to help us. They are not giving us the same rights that they have. They are not making laws that will make it easier for us to live here. They are not giving us civil rights to even treat us like equal individuals. They're making us use different bathrooms and different toilets, and we can't even sit at the same tables as them or use the same businesses as them. They're not giving us anything to include us with what they have going on. Nothing. And they're not about to. So you know what we need to do? This is the conversation black people have with themselves between the end of slavery and the 1960s is we need to do for self. And guess what they started doing? They started doing for self. Human capital. People were owning things. People were starting businesses. Black people had their own communities. We weren't running around saying, well, white people need to include us, or this white company needs to make they need to have a racial, what do they call it? Racial justice or equality or social justice fund that they got to put out here. Now, ever since the last 90 days, every company is like, yeah, we're creating a social justice fund to give money to black people and make sure they're getting equal opportunity. Fuck all of that. None of that is going to change anything. All right, you can't force people to become equal. Okay, that's the whole thing. That's the premise here. Is that all right? If we give this much money and y'all give money, and the NBA is going to give money, and every NBA team is going to give money, and this person going to make an organization, and this person going to start this coalition. Now we just give all this money and we create all these quote unquote opportunities. Now all of a sudden everybody's one day going to be equal. That's bullshit. That's not the way life works. Did any of you ever played a sport? Is everybody equal? Is everybody on the basketball team equal? Or do y'all read books? Have you ever read a book that was trash and you ever read a book that was great? Are they equal? Or they both had the same opportunity? Any of you ever been to the movies? You ever seen a trashy ass movie and you left before it was over? You ever seen a great movie that you went back to see it again? Is everything equal? Life is not supposed to be equal. All right? Equality is a myth, ladies and gentlemen. It is not about some white company or a black company giving X amount of dollars or forming a coalition that's going to make everything equal. That is not the way that it works. All right. What's the thing called? Affirmative action didn't make everything equal. Affirmative action is supposed to give everybody equal opportunity to get a job. Didn't work. Raising the minimum wage is supposed to give everybody more money. It did not work, because what happens is when you raise the minimum wage, now an employer says, all right, well, if I got to pay you $15 an hour, I'm going to find somebody better than you. So I'm not giving you the job. I'm going to give somebody else the job because they're better than you. Now that same person that you were supposed to help by raising the minimum wage doesn't even have a job. They went from making $10 an hour to making $0 an hour. So it was an unintended consequence. But this is what happens when the government or systems try to create equality. You cannot force people to be equal. People become equal by building human capital and working on their fucking games. All right, that's why this whole thing is called work on their games. All right, everybody understand this. So all this, what black people were doing to make America great. So next time somebody asks you when was America great, is when black people were not focused on white people, were not focused on the government. They realized they did not have any help coming from white people. White people left them alone and completely ignored black people. All black people did was focus on self. And they were doing well until around the 1960s, when a president named Lyndon B. Johnson, LBJ, go figure, he said, we need to create programs to help these black people out. They created welfare, was the first one, which led to a whole lot of single parent families, the destruction of the black family, and a whole lot of other stuff that y'all can read about in books written by people more qualified than me to speak on it. But that could just give you a hint. Go listen to somebody like Thomas Sowell, James L. Riley. There's a bunch of people talking about these things who have been talking about these things for years, but they don't get amplified because they're not speaking woke shit. But they are very well known by people who are intelligent and informed. So y'all need to get informed if you are not already. When black people were only focused on doing for self, America was great. All that being said, let me answer some questions before we run out of time here. So if you got a question, go ahead and post it in the comments section. While I'm waiting for all the questions to come through, I see we got some on Facebook. I'm going to answer everything. So if you got a question, go ahead and post it now. Make sure it's relevant. Let me tell you about this book right here. It's called The Mirror of Motivation, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. I've written 27 books. You should start with this book. The reason you start with this book is because everybody in life has goals. At least if you listen to me, you got goals. You understand you got to do work to reach your goals. The question you have to ask yourself, though, is the one people never ask, is who do I need to be as a person? What type of person do I need to be? How do I need to see myself? How do I need to think? What do I need to see when I look in the mirror in order to do the actions that will get me to those goals? This book will help you understand that, not from me, but from you. That's why the book is called The Mirror of Motivation. I'll show you how to get it from yourself and how to do it consistently so you can do what you need to do to have what you want to have. Here's the great thing about this book. It's free. You don't have to pay for this book. I've already paid for it. I got a box of them right there. All you got to do is cover the shipping. I will ship you the book free. You take care of the shipping worldwide. You get this at mirrorofmotivation.com. There's the link right down there in my comment on Instagram and the title on Facebook, mirrorofmotivation.com. If you don't have this book, start with this. If you like what you just heard, then I promise you will like this book, mirrorofmotivation.com. And after you get that, then you'll be able to get this book. I'll make you an offer for this book, which is my whole philosophy condensed into 250 pages, Work on Your Game, the book. Now, let's see what we got going on in the comment section. We got to get through these quick because I took damn near the whole hour talking about this. And they limit you to an hour on Instagram. So, Andy 91282, that's what's up. Jonathan, yeah, I'll post this. Don't worry. It'll go on, it's on my Facebook permanently, immediately, as soon as I end it. And also, I put them on YouTube, too, so those y'all don't know. So the NBA higher-ups got on their ass. That's what happened. Yeah, we'll see. Adrian said, do you think the real Salt Lake owner got fired because he got mad at his team for not playing on Wednesday? No, he shouldn't get fired. You can't fire an owner, Adrian, so that question is an oxymoron. It's a great thing about being an owner. You can't nobody fire you. And if you got people who work for you and they're supposed to be at work and they don't come to work, what the hell are you supposed to do? How can he be wrong for getting mad? The only people mad at him is a bunch of woke people who want to say something. Not to say that he's necessarily right, but it's his opinion. He can have whatever opinion he wants. And when you own your business, you can have whatever opinion you want and can't nobody stop you. It's a great thing about ownership. Jacob Ortega was good. Darius said, people are doing what they can. Boycotting and marching may not accomplish anything, but it's the ripple effect. No one person can save the black community. Yes, one person can save the black community. If each one person takes what I talked about here today and apply it, then that can save the black community. Boycotting and marching, we did that 60 years ago. So 60 years later, nobody's come up with a better strategy. I think that's a problem. That's the way that I see things. It's 60 years ago people was marching, and people couldn't come up with nothing better. All the human capital we got, the best we could come up with is marching some more. And I think there are better ideas out there. The thing is, those ideas do not get amplified. There are better ideas out there. Y'all just don't know about them because social media does not promote them. And social media is owned by white people. So again, if it's about white people, I've seen a lot of stuff about white people being said recently. And they're the ones who are showing you the parts that they want you to pay attention to. So this is the part of, people call themselves woke, but they're actually asleep. Different conversation for a different day. And Yee answered that. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can't focus on everything. You can only focus on one thing at a time. Darius says, you're forgetting that although black people were progressing, there are multiple instances where it was sabotaged. Look what happened in Wilmington, North Carolina. I just mentioned that. I mentioned Black Wall Street got burned, and yes, there were things that happened to black people. Yes, they did get sabotaged, but they were still progressing. That's the whole fucking point. That's what I'm saying. There were things that were happening to black people. There were Jim Crow laws. They didn't have civil rights. All of these negative things were in place, yet black people were still progressing. As a whole, black people were progressing. There are books written on this. Darius, you should go read them. All right, don't just read the clips that you get from, I don't know where you heard that story or what blog you read or what Sean King tweet, but go read books from people who are philosophers who have written about these things for years, black people. And they are not famous, or they're not famous in the woke world, but they are well known in the philosophical world. They're well known by educated people. Read their books. And they tell you about these things. I'm not going to try to quote them because they could say it better than me. But if you have the discipline to go read those books, you can get the information. And now I'm telling you that it exists, that you can go find it. Again, go listen to some Thomas Sowell, go listen to some James Riley. These people talk about these things. So I agree with Dre. He's making it sound easy. It sounds good, but it's not going to happen overnight. What am I making sound easy, Darius? I just spent an hour explaining to you what we would need, what people can do. Well, tell me what I made sound easy. Focusing inward. Stop paying attention to the lowest levels of our society and building human capital. What part of that did I make sound easy? I don't think I made anything sound easy. But you tell me. David said, how do black people give attention to people not contributing to the community aside from these police killings? How do they do it? Well, I mean, look at these situations that just happened. Now, again, did the cops do something wrong? As far as we can tell at this point, I think many people say the cops did something wrong. And when they go to court, we'll get to find out because everybody gets their day in court. Even a police officer who shoots an unarmed person gets their day in court. Now, these individuals who ended up getting shot or hurt or ended up dying, were they the best contributors to our society? Looking at their backgrounds, the answer is no. Candace Owens said this. She did a 17-minute video talking about George Floyd, but she said this. She was very harsh, and she lacked empathy in anything that she said, but the reading between the lines of what she was saying, she was absolutely correct in what she was saying. It's just the way that she said it, nobody got the actual message. That's what I mean. Again, in the Jewish community, when there's an idiot in the community who keeps fucking up, they don't keep helping them. They let them go. They kick them out. That's what they do. Jonathan said, much appreciate for this live. I'm busy during the week, so I value the weekend lives. Mozart said the black community is finished. Well, no, it's not finished. I'm black. You can't tell me the black community is finished. David said, any sources? Yes. I suggest you go to YouTube, David, and look up a guy named Thomas Sowell. Thomas, his last name, Sowell. He has a bunch of videos where it's not just him. He gets interviewed. They're like an hour apiece, and he talks about all kinds of things. So listen to him talk. He's black, and he talks about these things for black people from years of study. And I think a lot of black people can learn a lot from Thomas Sowell. I've just started to read some of his books. I just heard of him like 2 months ago. Sports Lover said, many Asians major in high-paying STEM fields and engineering. It's time for Native American people to do the same. Well, yeah, maybe everybody may not go into those fields, but listen, black people play basketball. Not everybody's going to make it. You got some who are rappers. But again, what are they focused on? The people who are the leaders, where are they focusing? Because their focus is directing everybody else's focus. It's black people, for whatever reason, we are attached to social media. NDS Loading said, why do you think there are no protests for 400 African Americans killed this year. What do you mean, NDS? I don't understand what you're saying. Oh, you mean in Chicago? Why are there no protests for those killed? Because the focus is on white people. That's why. The 400 African Americans, we'll just say black people, killed this year. We're not even going to say African Americans. I've never been to Africa. So the 400 black people killed in Chicago this year by other black people does not get protested, because then white people cannot be demonized. And the cops can't be demonized, and we can't blame the government. That's why you don't hear about that. So Darius says, you're making the solution sound easy. Where? Tell me what I made sound easy. That's the question I'm asking you. The information you're saying is correct, but let the people vent. Let the people protest and vent however they feel they need to. I didn't say that they couldn't. I'm not stopping them, am I? I'm speaking my piece right here. I didn't say that they couldn't protest. What did I make sound easy was the question that I asked you. You're saying I'm making it sound easy. I'm asking you, what exactly did I make sound easy? I'm waiting for you to answer that question. You said you agree that black people need to step up and stop looking for a handout. That's not even what I said, Darius. I would suggest that when this live is over, you go back and listen to the whole thing all over again. I think you have a challenging comprehension, because I didn't say that. I didn't say that black people need to stop looking for a handout. I said black people need to focus inward, stop focusing on the lowest levels of our society, and build human capital. I never used the word handout in this whole hour that I've been talking. And I'm a professional speaker, so I know I didn't say that. So I would suggest you listen to the whole thing again so that you can actually comprehend my message. That is, if you're willing to. Now, if you just came here to challenge me and disagree with me, you gotta develop some more skill in building your argument. All due respect to you. I appreciate you listening, though. Isaiah said, let us protest how we want and be on our side more often. Who's us? And who's our side? What's the side? This is the challenge right here. This comment right here is exactly what I'm talking about. We almost out of time. But this is the point that I'm making here. Some black people will say, well, you're not on our side. If you challenge a black person who is speaking some woke shit, they say, well, you're against us, you're not on our side, you're attacking black people, and then they have these words, these derogatory terms they use towards black people who don't go along with the quote unquote program that y'all get from the Jamel Hills and the Sean Kings and the LeBron Jameses of the world. This is the kind of rhetoric right here that is keeping black people down. So any of you who's not black, who wants to know why black people are having trouble progressing and why we keep having the same problems over and over again, it's not because of Trump, it's not white people, it's not the government, it's not the cops, it's not the system, it's our own people. It's black people, like people who have these ideas. And I'm not saying any of you individually, I'm saying the idea, because you can change your idea anytime you want. You can change your opinion anytime you want. But these opinions are they progress and they get amplified so much in our community that people don't even want to think. You challenge a black person to think, and they get mad at you. This is the reason why this is the reason why our human capital sucks. Black people don't want to be challenged to think. You challenge someone's opinion and they tell you that you're against them, you're not on our side, you're not with us. This is what happens when you challenge people to think. You challenge a Jewish person to think, they're interested, they're happy. Challenge an Asian person to think, they thank you. Challenge a black person to think, they get mad at you and they recruit the mob to bash you on social media. This is what black people do. This is why, not all black people, let me be clear, but a percentage of black people, this is what they do, and this is why our community can't progress, because we have these ideas floating around that get perpetuated by people who are supposed to be leading us. And this is our challenge right here. Y'all seeing it right here in my comment section. Isaiah said, you are my brother too. We are still oppressed and you have a hard time believing it. I'm not oppressed, Isaiah. You don't speak for me. America's not oppressing me. If you feel oppressed, that's your choice, but you don't speak for me. You don't speak for black people in general either. I am not oppressed. So if you feel oppressed, that's your choice. And that's the exact reason why you can't advance in life, because you feel like you're being oppressed. Anybody who feels like they're being oppressed is going to stay oppressed. Victims remain victims and winners keep winning. So you got to choose which one you want to be. So if you said we are still oppressed, I have a hard time believing it. So you think I'm denying that I'm being oppressed? That makes no sense. You can't tell me that I'm oppressed. I have power to do what I want to do. Now, if you do not have that power, I tell you what, I can help you get it. I can help you. I can help you. The book is free. All you got to do is cover the shipping. I can get you started on how to get that power, because it starts on the inside. It's not about them. It's not about the government. It's not about the system. It's about you. It starts with you, if you're willing to do that. What's the first thing I said here, ladies and gentlemen, today? Those of you who've been listening, what's the first thing I said? Focus inward. Not we are being oppressed, not the system, not the government, not the president. Focus inward. Many black people don't want to hear that. And I just explained it to y'all. You challenge a black person to think, they get mad at you. All right, they come back at you and tell you, well, we're being oppressed. You're not trying to hear it. Where that's a problem. Let people protest and vent. Look, we've been protesting since 1960. All right, the protest time is over. Colin Kaepernick protested in 2016. It's 2020. Ain't nobody developed no more ideas in 4 years. We have 4 years to come up with an idea. Nobody came up with nothing in 4 years. Oh, let's do the same thing we did 4 years ago that didn't work. Okay. This is the human capital that we are failing to utilize. This is the failure of black people. And I just spent a whole hour explaining that. So anybody who doesn't understand it, you just don't want to understand it. And that's all right. You have a right to feel that way however you want to feel. I am not here to change minds, ladies and gentlemen. Let me be clear. When I do these lives, I'm not here to try to change your mind. I'm only here to give knowledge, information, insight to people who are looking for it. But if you don't want to change your opinion, you are free to have whatever opinion you wish to have. All right, I preach to the choir. All right, I preach to the choir. That's a good business idea. David said, everything Dre said is facts, and he addressed what you said in point one, focusing. Yeah, but he's not listening, David. That's the whole point. I said it in 1, 2, and 3. This is my whole point, David. You are a Nigerian, and you understand exactly what I said. Every other culture, if I speak to a room full of Asians, Nigerians, Cubans, white people, Jewish people, and I challenge them to think, they come up and shake my hand. I challenge some black people to think, they rolling their eyes at me and get mad. This is the way that it works. I will try to understand this phenomenon, but this is what happens. Now, why it happens, again, I'll have to think a little bit more before I can talk about it, but this is what's happening. Here's another person that are not oppressed. I'm not oppressed. Okay, so anybody who says, okay, Uncle Tom. So this is what black people say when you don't agree with what they're saying. They believe they're oppressed. Can y'all believe this? Let me tell y'all what just happened here in my comment section on Instagram. This guy came in a comment and said, Dre, I feel what you're saying. He said he agreed with me, and then he disagreed with me. And then he said, well, we're still oppressed, and you're my brother too. And I said, I'm not oppressed. And he said, oh, you're Uncle Tom. So I'm bad because I'm not oppressed. Wait, I'm not oppressed, so I'm wrong? I'm the idiot because I'm not oppressed, but he's right. He's down for the cause. He's black fists in the air. These are the type of people, ladies and gentlemen, these are the type of people that make up the masses of black people that you see on social media. So when y'all go on these Instagrams and Facebooks and Twitters and LeBron says something and you see he gets 100 retweets and likes and it sounds like some ignorant, not well thought out woke shit, and you're like, well, look at all the support that it's getting, is people like this individual guy right here, Isaiah Montana, who says, I'm oppressed. He says he's oppressed. I said, I'm black. I'm not oppressed. He says, you are oppressed. I said, no, I'm not. And he says I'm an Uncle Tom because I'm not oppressed. Can y'all believe that? I said, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. I can empower myself, and I can teach you how. I told him, I can teach you to empower yourself, and he got mad at me. Can y'all imagine this? This is what's going on in our community. All right, 12% of the American population. How many people is that? I don't even know. Let's say 20 million, 30 million people, however many, 60 million people in America. A huge proportion of our community, this is the way that they think. And they get mad at me when I say I am not oppressed. I do not blame Donald Trump. I do not blame the system. The government is not holding me down. I'm not mad at white people. I'm not even mad at the cops. They're mad because I won't say those things. Can y'all imagine that? Can you imagine coming from a community where this is the way people talk? This is what we're dealing with. So y'all want to know the problem with black people? Any of you who's not black, you want to know the problem that black people have in America right now? You just saw it. Now, again, he doesn't represent all black people, but he is a microcosm of things that I see on social media every fucking day. NDS Loading says, I like that. Winners keep winning. Victims keep being victims. Exactly. Machiavelli said, I'm not oppressed. Exactly. Mozart said, look at the guy. You already know he doesn't have anything going on. Well, we don't know. Social media can be deceiving. Yee said, do you think the problem and solution is cultural? What do you mean by that? Like, that just because you're from a certain culture that you're going to have certain problems? If you mean it by that way, no. I think it's cultural in that black people have become addicted to social media. I mean, this has been going on for a minute. Colin Kaepernick, when he took the knee, everybody said taking the knee is a great idea, but none of them had the heart to take the knee because they knew they would have lost something. But now there's nothing to lose. Everybody wants to kneel. You tell me. Darius says, I summed up what you were saying. You said black people were advancing when they invested in themselves. Yes, they were. I agree with that. You already just said that's right. They were advancing. Even though there were still calamities and bad things happening to them as a result of some races. There were some things that did happen bad, Darius Wilson. They were still advancing. They were still advancing, despite that. He said, what you're saying, what you're making sound easy is your alternative to protesting. Darius, are you protesting right now? Is this hard? He said, I'm making the alternative to protesting sound easy. Darius, what are you doing right now? You're on Facebook watching me. Are you protesting right now? No. Is this hard? Is this difficult? Is this a challenge for you? Do you feel you're exerting yourself too much to just sit here and not protest? Are you kneeling right now? Are you marching right now? Are you giving a speech right now? No. All right, so is this hard? Did you go to sleep last night? Was it hard? Okay, so the alternative to protesting is doing anything other than protesting. So is it hard? No, I'm doing more work than anybody right now who's watching this. I'm doing all the work. All you got to do is listen. All you're doing is typing on the phone. All right, how is that hard? That's the alternative to protesting. The alternative to protesting is focus on yourself, stop paying attention to the worst of the society, and build human capital. I'm making that sound easy? Okay, let me help you out. I've written 27 books. I published 7,000 YouTube videos. I published 7,000 articles, 2,000 live streams, and 1,600 master classes. I will let you access all of them. You can access all of them at no cost right now. I'll give you your first 2 weeks in the game group membership for free right now. Work on your game university. I'll give you this book for free, mirrormotivation.com. YouTube's free. These live streams are free. My articles are free. All right, is that hard? Tell me what part of that's hard, Darius. Tell me what part of that is a challenge for you, and let me help you out. We're going to wait for Darius's response because he's telling me that this is too difficult for him. We're going to find out what the problem is. Let me see what else we got. Chief Bogo says, set yourself apart. Sports Lover says Clippers owner got fired. No, he didn't get fired. He was removed they used the bylaws of the league to push him out. But he didn't get fired. You can't get fired when you're an owner, Sports Lover 27. Said it's a possibility about the real Salt Lake owner, but I get your point. No, it's not a possibility. You can't fire an owner by definition. They can kick him out. He got kicked out of the league he got kicked out as an owner because of something that he did to violate the bylaws of the league. But let's be clear, Sports Lover 27, you didn't read the whole story. Maybe you read the tweet. You don't know the whole story. The owner of the Clippers was named Donald Sterling. He did not get fired. He sold the Clippers for $2 billion. Can you call yourself getting fired when you get paid $2 billion? Billion with a B. So no, he did not get fired. He sold the Clippers. Go look up the story and read it. And then make sure you have the right information. Listen, everybody, I don't mind y'all challenging my points, but make sure your information is accurate. And this is the kind of shit that I'm talking about. People run around saying things and don't even have the accurate information. The Clippers owner was deemed mentally unstable. His wife is the one who sold the team for $2 billion. Again, look up the story. Steve Ballmer, who owns the Clippers now, the bald white guy from Microsoft, paid $2 billion for the Clippers. So no, he did not get fired. He sold the team. Yes, David cleared it up right there on top of it. See, this is what I mean, David. You're a Nigerian. All right, you probably see this stuff with black people all the time. you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Amara said, what should I do to convert my post game into a guard game? Go to hoophandbook.com and buy some programs. Invest in yourself. Mozart says, everybody can't make it, Dre. You got to toss certain people overboard and forget about them. Well, I've said that on my master classes many times. Darby says, nobody does their own research. Well, they think they do. People think they're doing their own research, but their research is reading tweets and Instagram captions. So they think they're doing research, but they don't know that it's misinformation, Darby. That's the thing. People are not intentionally misleading other people. They're not doing it on purpose. They just don't know what they don't know. Now, we call this ignorance when you just don't know something. But most people, when they identify their own ignorance, they double down and get defiant about it. A wise person, when they identify ignorance, they go and solve it by getting information. But in our community, a lot of times, people don't want to hear that. You tell a black person who's been indoctrinated with this woke shit how they are not seeing things accurately, they get mad at you and they attack you and they don't want to listen to you anymore. But this is the kind of stuff that's been perpetuated in our community, unfortunately, by our leaders. Our leaders have done this. This is not like they've been learning from some bum on the corner. This is the Jamel Hills, this is the Sean Kings, the LeBron Jameses, the Colin Kaepernicks, the Al Sharptons. They're the ones who have been perpetuating this stuff. And ESPN now has jumped in it. ESPN is a bunch of white people. They're amplifying this message. So now everybody thinks this must be true. I mean, if you see a million people saying the same thing, you might eventually start to believe it too. This is the way that it works. This is just the way that it works, ladies and gentlemen. Like you have to get your own information. NDS Loading says, should I be scared to speak out at a college campus because I don't support BLM? Yes, you should be scared if you can't physically fight, because you might get beat up by a mob of people if you do that. So NDS Loading, I don't know who you are, but if you ain't taking any like boxing training and you're not like a big guy with big muscles, you got to be careful where and when you speak out on a college campus. It depends on what college you go to too. Some colleges are very liberal, where you can't say anything, and some colleges are more conservative, where you can say stuff. It depends on where you're at. It really depends on, and it depends on you personally, your personal energy. Amar, got you. NDS says, I'm white and Middle Eastern, by the way. Yeah, so you should be even more careful because you're not black. Now, if you are black, you can say whatever you want. Like, I'm black, so I can say these things, and people can get mad, but nothing's going to happen to me. But if I was white saying these things, oh, forget it. They might shut down my account. Mo Reason says, it's true, but why do most people not want to be challenged to think? Because thinking is hard work. That's why. You see my hat? Work on your game. Most people don't want to work. Work is effort. Most people don't want to do work. Mozart said the black community needs the mental handbook. Man, they need the whole bulletproof bundle. They need all 4 books. And there is not all of the black community. I want to make sure I'm being clear here. I'm not saying everybody that's black. All right, it's a certain percentage of the community. It's not everybody. There's just certain people don't want to be challenged. But y'all have saw this. This has been live. Y'all just saw it yourselves. Y'all can read through the comments and see it. But I think when I post this on IGTV, the comments go away. But I ain't making nothing of it up. So when y'all see it, y'all see everything here. Darius over on Facebook got quiet, so I guess he ran out of material. But everybody, look. That is it for today. I think we went over an hour. I guess Instagram lets you go longer than an hour now. But anyway, that's it for today's live. I appreciate everybody for checking in. We will do another live tomorrow on the weekends. Usually it'll be earlier. But I'll post the time sometime earlier in my story, so then y'all know when it's coming. So usually at least a couple hours in advance, maybe an hour or two. I'll tell y'all when the live is coming so that y'all know when it's coming. Just turn on your notifications. It's usually around the same time consistently. But just be ready. And I always post it on my IGTV feed after it's over. If it's not on my main feed with all the rest of the posts, just click on the little button that says IGTV. It will be there. It's always on my Facebook immediately after this is over. The whole thing is on my Facebook. I also post these on YouTube. So all you got to do is just look it up. It's somewhere online every time I do a live. It is always posted somewhere. If it's not on my main feed, it's on the IGTV button. Everything goes on the IGTV button. And Facebook.com/work on your game. And YouTube. Oh yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm having live one-on-one conversations with anyone in my audience so I can learn, especially those of you who have ever bought a product from me or thought about it, or you would if I had the right product for you, that I want to figure out exactly what you need, what your needs and challenges and all that is. I'm having those conversations right now. So if you go to WOYFG.com, that stands for workonyourfuckinggame.com, WOYFG.com, you can sign up for a free live video call with me one-on-one. I'm going to ask the questions. All you got to do is answer them. You ain't got to prepare. You don't have to do nothing. Just answer the questions I'm going to ask you. That's it. It's only going to take about 20 minutes, maybe less than that. That's at WOYFG.com. You can sign up for free right now. The calendar and the schedule's up there. WOYFG.com. Now, mirrormotivation.com. If you do not have any of my books, you don't know where to start because I got so many, start with this one, mirrorofmotivation.com. This will show you how to figure out who to be as a person and start implementing it so you can do what you need to do to have what you want to have in life. And yes, the F is for emphasis. Chief Bogo, you remember that. That is what it is, everybody. And that's that. Oh yeah, after that, after you get this book, the next page will show you how to get this book along with the mental workbook in a bundle. So then you'll have 3 books. You'll have plenty of reading material, and the mental workbook's a workbook. So that's going to be for the rest of your life. And you'll be reading these over and over again. I think I've given you, I don't need to give you no more. I think I give you enough for today. All right, we got a portion control. That's enough. So everybody, we'll be live again tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. If you see a woke person, wake them up. All right, tell them go back to sleep. Everybody have a great day. We out of here. Enjoy the NBA game. So we out. Enjoy all day.